Bravo bosses. This is the Bravo Investigator Podcast. I'm your host, Dana. And today on our Tuesday Reality Roundup, we are talking about Teen Mom, Love is Blind, Love Island, The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Selling Sunset, The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, The Valley, and The Traitors. And today's episode is audio only, but you can watch the audio version of the episode on YouTube. Let's get into it. Happy Tuesday, everyone. I hope everyone's had a good week so far, and I will start with my typical apologies like I always do. I'm sorry that this episode is late, you guys. When I was recording on Sunday, which is when I typically record the Reality Roundup, I was doing instead Love is Blind episode 7 to 9. And I thought, I don't know if I want to do a reality roundup as well, because then that would mean I'm recording 2 episodes in one day. So I thought about it. And I just didn't do it. I didn't do it, you guys. And it's not like I wasn't thinking of you. I'm always thinking of you. But I'm also always thinking of me as well. And just because it was the first week of work, I just kind of wanted to take as much time as possible to relax. But what I've also noticed is I miss you guys. I want to talk to you guys. And even if there isn't a lot of topics, I just feel like I want to share what there is. And it's funny because on Sunday, I was like, yeah, maybe there's 2 or 3 topics plus a couple of shorter recaps that I could do. And then now it's Tuesday and there's plenty to talk about. So I especially love when we have topics from lots of different kinds of shows and not just Bravo. We've got Teen Mom today, Love is Blind, all that fun stuff. So I love that. But yeah, I just missed you guys. And even yesterday on Monday, I was like, well, I guess I could record tonight. I guess I could do an episode. But I'm like, no, Dana, take the time, relax. But it made me just realize that relaxing time that I guess I used to spend after work in the olden days, doing I don't know what, well, watching TV, right? Now I want to do that, but be engaging with you guys either via podcasting or via Instagram or Threads or whatever it is that we're doing in our discourse, right? It's not just watching anymore. It's the engagement as well. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to do an episode for you guys today. Let's do a Tuesday reality roundup. And then we'll see what the rest of the week will hold. Obviously, Love is Blind is a priority. Summer House is a priority. But just because I'm literally only in the second week of work, I just don't want to overpromise or make any promises or anything like that. But here we are today. And why don't we start with Teen Mom, which we have not talked about in a while. And I love talking some Teen Mom, you guys. You know that I do. Okay, so there is a rumor that Jenelle and David are back together. Okay, do you guys remember Jenelle and David? So Jenelle Evans, she's from Teen Mom. She was with a guy named Andrew in originally 16 and pregnant, and they didn't end up staying together. So she had her son Jace. But Jenelle was 16. She was going out a lot. She was doing drugs, doing all kinds of stuff. And then her mom, Barbara, that's how you say her name, Barbara, she decided, I think, that I should take over care of your son. And she basically had Jenelle sign over custody. But as Jenelle got older, she wanted custody of her son back. And Barbara refused to allow her to, constantly claiming that Jenelle didn't have the capacity to take care of him. Truly, though, over time, I believe that Barbara just really fell in love with Jace and did not want to give him up. But I mean, things have, she wasn't wrong. And as crazy as Barbara is, things did end up going awry for Jenelle. She ended up meeting another guy. What was his name? I forget his name. But he ended up getting, and Nathan, he ended up getting in a lot of trouble too. And what's funny about Jenelle is the guys that she goes for initially, I think they're kind of nice. I'm like, okay. And I don't mean guys like Kiefer or anything like that. I mean Nathan or even David, right? They seemed nice at the beginning. She ends up getting engaged to him. They have a daughter. No, they have a son. They have a son together. That doesn't work out. There's obviously police involved because there always is with Jenelle. Then she ends up with this guy, David, who initially seemed nice. But yeah, he had troubles of his own. He also had, this was at a time when Jenelle had So she had Jace and then she had Kaiser with Nathan. So she had two kids from two different dads. And I think David had three kids from three different moms, but he only had custody of two of them, I believe. So Jenelle and David meet in 2015 on Tinder. In August 2016, she gets pregnant and has daughter Ensley with David. They end up getting engaged in February of 2017. They get married in September of 2017, but Barbara isn't even there because at this point in time, Janelle's relationship with Barbara is still super contentious over David, over Jace, over everything. And then by October 2018, Jenelle ends up calling 911 after an alleged physical assault with David, which she later claimed was a misunderstanding. It was something like she claimed that he choked her, and then she said that they were fighting and he fell on her and that he wasn't actually choking her. Whoever really knows, right? And then there was like this situation with his daughter where something to do with their dog. He was annoyed with the dog and then he shot the dog in front of the daughter. And then he ends up being fired from Teen Mom, not just for the dog incident, but also for a lot of like racist and homophobic statements too. So Jenelle wasn't able to film Teen Mom for a while because I mean, she was still allowed to be on the show, but because he didn't want her to film without him, it was really difficult for her, which was obviously a very controlling situation. Like Teen Mom was like, listen, we're not going to part with you, but we have to part with David. And it was especially during that time where they were doing a lot of firings because of how people were acting online and things that they were saying that were racially charged or inappropriate and things like that. So it was a good decision on MTV's part, but because David was also always so controlling, it was so difficult for Jenelle. There were times where she would even like fly out to Florida to film with Brianna, just to film with someone. But again, he would end up getting upset. He'd end up showing up at filming locations so that they'd have to stop filming. But things got like from bad to worse between them. I think it even got more physical. They end up filing for divorce in July 2025, or that's when the divorce is finalized. And now there is word that they are possibly back together. So this is an article that I found from Teen Mom Shade Room. It says an insider exclusively told the U.S. Sun that former Teen Mom star Jenelle, 34, she's 34 already? Wow, that's so crazy how time flies. And David, 37, have patched things up just months after their messy divorce was finalized. A source said that Jenelle flew David out for Valentine's Day from North Carolina to her home in Las Vegas. They were together for the holiday, the source added, claiming he may still be out with her in Vegas right now. As the U.S. Sun first revealed, Jenelle filed for divorce from David in February 2024 after David was indicted on a felony strangulation charge stemming from an incident with her oldest son, Jace. In the aftermath, David, 37, had a restraining order against him from Jace, and while that restraining order is likely still in place, the now 16-year-old is once again living with his grandmother, Barbara, back in North Carolina. Last month, the Teen Mom 2 alum denied rumors that she and David had rekindled after the reunion over their daughter Ensley's hospitalization for allergic reaction. However, during that time, David was busy liking all of Janelle's posts about Valentine's Day. On Thursday, February 12th, she prompted her followers to help her pick out a dress for her Valentine's Day date that weekend. It's a wild about face from just this past October where Jenelle filed to hold David in contempt of court for refusing to pay off the loans that he allegedly agreed to take care of in their divorce settlement. Jenelle and David officially finalized their divorce in July 2025. Court officials confirmed the decree, which notes that the couple married on September 23, 2017, and legally separated on February 16, 2024. I mean, the thing about Jenelle is, and the thing that will always be about Jenelle is that she prioritizes men and being in a relationship over everything. And she always has. Like, she can never be single. I mean, there was a period of time where she was talking to Kiefer again, like 15 years later, which is crazy. She was even dating one of her friends, August, in between this whole time period. She can't be alone. She can never be alone. I forgot about this thing with Jace, and if that's true, and I believe that it is, if he placed his hands on your child, also, he shot your dog. I mean, this guy is completely awful. You filed for divorce from him, not for irreconcilable differences, for seriously like deranged stuff, right? This is not a good guy. He's never been a good guy, but Jenelle cannot be alone. And the thing about Jenelle is like, she's had supports in her life around her over time that have tried to lead her in the right direction. And she's had opportunities given to her. I mean, even Teen Mom, right? But she's one of those people that no matter what will always choose the wrong path and will always go the wrong way, wrong road, right? Basically. And it's sad to see. It just really is because she has potential, right? I mean, everyone has potential. It's just sad to see when that support and the potential that you have, you just end up throwing down the drain. Okay, so Kailyn Lowry, also from Teen Mom, we do have an update on her. So she sometimes releases little bits of tea on her podcast. She's really good about that. In terms of how I feel about her in general as a person, honestly, I don't know. It's hard to keep up with her these days. She was on Teen Mom. Her legacy is vast as well. She was with a guy named, oh God, Joe. They had a son, Isaac. So they were on 16 and Pregnant and then Teen Mom. Kailyn did not have a good relationship with her mother, who was an addict. So she ended up living with Joe and his family. Then they broke up. She ended up dating another guy, Jordan. And then Joe's parents basically kicked her out, saying, like, you can't date somebody else and live here. So she always had like a very difficult life. Then she ended up getting with a guy named Javi, who she ended up marrying. And they had a son named Lincoln. I think Lincoln. Then she met this guy, Chris, and things were super disastrous there. He refused to ever film, so we didn't get much of him on camera, but she ended up having 2 kids with him. That was probably her most contentious relationship. And I truly think that that one fucked her up the most because her other relationships, the guys still wanted to be with her. So I think it really was a mind fuck for her when a guy was like not wanting to be with her and was cheating on her and stuff like that. But eventually she did get over Chris and she started dating this guy, Elijah. And that was around the time that she stopped being on Teen Mom. We got a little glimpse of him at like her final reunion on the show, whenever that was, however many moons ago. What we knew about Elijah, or what I've been able to keep up with online, because again, she hasn't been on TV since. She has a podcast, but I don't listen to it regularly, only when there's like important tea. But Elijah, to my understanding, was significantly younger than her, lived down the street, was also in the military. And then she ends up getting pregnant by him pretty quickly, and they end up having 3 kids together. She kept this under wraps for quite some time because, fair enough, people were going to be super judgmental that she had like 7 kids. But then there was all these rumors that broke last year about him cheating on her. There was this whole like online, like literally momentum called Elijah Cruise, where people had basically documented him having an affair last summer on this cruise that he went on. So Kailyn has now finally confirmed that. So I'm going to play this clip. We do know that they had broken up. I'm not sure if she ever like flat out said it, but she was on Lala's podcast, like our Lala Kent. God, maybe 6 months ago or so, like quite some time ago, and said, yeah, I've broken up with all of my baby daddies and such and such. And we did know about Elijah from at least the episode that he did with Javi on her podcast about how they were going to navigate co-parenting with Javi having to go away for service again, right? So it was so crazy to see the transition between, okay, Elijah is fully like integrated into this family where Javi isn't like now trusting him with his son and stuff, to he's out of the picture. And then she started dating this other guy, and that's when like all hell broke loose. And I did talk to you guys about that because she did talk about it on her Patreon, and I gave you guys some background on that maybe 2 weeks back about the new guy that she's dating named Isaac, not her son, obviously. But here's what she had to say on her podcast about Elijah.
Was it like healing after such a public breakup? I think a year later, I'm finally healed. It's weird because I still don't want to throw him under the bus. Like, I think it's clear and we all know that he cheated, and that was really, really difficult for me, but I still love him as a person, and I never want to defame him in any way. And like, I can love Elijah as a person, and I could not like what he did to me, and we can still co-parent and be a good team. Honestly, the only thing that I can say about like healing after it being so public, it was that the only thing that helped is time. And even now, I'm like talking on the side to Alessandra about certain things, and it's hard because looking back, I don't know if I should have addressed it sooner. I still question whether I should have, and same with like the whole hobby live situation. Like, I don't know if I should have addressed it sooner. I almost wish that I did, but I also don't know what the ramifications would have been if I did. So it was like scary because I wanted to learn from past mistakes of speaking on things too prematurely. And like, it's such a weird, what's the word? Like, it's like, yeah, the juxtaposition.
I totally get what she's saying because it's sort of like her job to give us information because she's in the reality TV space and she has a podcast where she talks about her life and people expect that of her. Plus, she does sort of use it, right? Like she'll put it behind a paywall. So I'm not acting like she's all innocent here. I'm just saying, like, when does she owe us that? But then at the same time, like, she'll go and lie too, because right after that Elijah Cruz thing like came out, it became like this big thing. She posted this TikTok with Elijah, basically being like, "Now what are you guys talking about?" Right? And the rumor was that like she had, because he lives down the street, like his parents live down the street, so she had like sent him back home, but then like pulled him out of his house and was like, "Take this TikTok with me so people will think that we're fine," right? So there is that too, where it's like, no, you don't owe us everything, but then don't lie to us either, right? Okay, let's move on to Love is Blind. Now, I did give you guys some little bits of tea on Sunday when I gave you guys the recap of episode 7 to 9. So we talked about why Vic and Chris were on a separate trip. We talked about how Bree responded in her press interviews about the feedback about Chris and how she was saying that even though it looked as though she was entertaining what he was saying, she absolutely wasn't. And I also told you guys what Chris's response was to the feedback about him in terms of how he made disgusting comments about Jessica's body. So Jessica also has done some press. She did an article with Us Weekly. So I'm going to read you guys that. And this is her feedback basically on what happened between her and Chris. So it says Jessica Barrett checked out of her Love is Blind engagement the moment her then fiance, Chris Fusco, body shamed her. I essentially just took in the information, had a mental funeral for him, and went on about my day, Jessica 39 told Glamour in an interview published Saturday, February 21st. I basically said, I'm going to do my exit interview, and I realized that I haven't told you that I want nothing to do with you going forward. He actually was kind of shocked, which was mind-blowing. It is, right? Like the fact that he thought that they were going to continue on is wild. The fact that she had to break up with him to end this is wild. But anyways, Jessica and Chris, 33, got engaged sight unseen in the Love is Blind season 10 pods, only meeting face to face after she accepted his proposal. Their pod bond, however, faltered in the real world as Chris admitted he struggled with his physical attraction to the physician. He even boldly told her that he usually dates women who work out every day and have a different body type than her. I was very much trying to remain calm because obviously this was completely blindsiding, Jessica recalled to Glamour. There was no conversation about anything like this prior to that conversation, so I kind of went into this like lock-in zone. She continued, I have done a lot of work in my life. I work really hard. I do work well under pressure. I have to deal with very tough conversations frequently at work, and my gears were definitely turning. I was definitely listening, taking in everything that he said, and it was absolutely a switch that flipped for me. In that moment, I knew that there was no way that this man was going to be in my life. And I knew that it was up to me to handle that in such a way that I would be proud of when I watched it a year later. After watching their breakup on the hit Netflix dating series, Jessica is still proud with how she handled the situation. I'm extremely happy with how I handled myself, Jessica said of the reality TV moment. Of course, I'm human. I wanted to freak out and do all the things that we would want to do, but also I didn't think that he deserved any of that energy of mine. Chris, meanwhile, has since apologized for bringing up Jessica's body type in their candid chat about attraction. And I'll just read again what he said because it's in this article. I really just want to be completely honest with her about how I was feeling, he recently told Entertainment Weekly. I respect Jessica so much still, and she is such an amazing person, where I felt like I didn't want to make anything up. I felt like maybe just being super direct and honest about how I felt was the best route at the time, and just explaining what I was normally attracted to physically without, because I mean, on the show, we're meeting someone based on an emotional connection, so we're doing it pretty much backwards than the normal dating life. After Chris and Jessica went their separate ways, he attempted to win back his other strong Love is Blind connection, Brianna Brie McNeese. That ship has sailed at the pods. Brie exclusively told Us Weekly earlier this month when we called it off, it became friendly. And then at the cast party, pins. It was one of those things where we're all taken aback, like, who is this person? That just goes to show that anyone could show up as anybody in this experiment. It was not only disrespectful towards Jess, but also Connor. They were best friends in the pods. And to see him flip a switch like that, it was crazy. As for Connor 32, he told us that he's no longer in touch with Chris after his flirtatious chat with Bree. I was surprised at the way that he tried to do it, Connor noted, but it is what it is. We don't really talk anymore, as you can imagine. So, I mean, what was that guy? I have just never seen anyone pull a switch like this. Like, this is the equivalent of someone going on reality TV and playing a part and making people think that reality TV is fake, because the person that you were in the pod, sir, was not the person that you actually were. And the minute you got to sort of just, move on and be yourself, wow. Because the self that you were, Chris, was really, really awful. But yeah, happy for Jessica for the way that she handled it. She's so right? We have no idea how we're going to handle these sorts of situations. And you could really not necessarily embarrass yourself, but, because you're on TV and everybody will get to see your reaction and it'll be imprinted on the internet forever. Not everybody gets the opportunity to go out of something in such a classy fashion, right? And she did it. She really did the damn thing, So now Chris apparently dated someone right after the experiment, and this person was recently on Reality Steve. Now, apparently he left her like this 12-minute insane voicemail. So I'm just going to play you guys this clip of this girl, Marta, I think is her name, who dated Chris after Jessica, so after the experiment, and this is her on Reality Steve.
A voice that I want to play, because this sets the stage for the phone call that we're about to listen to that you recorded. But this is the voice memo that he sent you on Thanksgiving night of last year after a back and forth of you just not answering his call, right? You were just sending him to voicemail because he wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay. So play what his voicemail was. 40 seconds long.
I also think this is interesting. Should I leave my last message here? No. I don't know them. I spent $900 at dinner today. It's so funny. It's like, do the trust people you're with or not? It's like you hang out with random bitches like the fuck. And it's like, yeah, I do that all the time. I put aside how much do you trust someone? It's like, oh, you never know. I'll be safe tonight. I'm not gonna say anything. Call me back when you want. Go fuck yourself. You might be blocked. I don't know.
Call me back if you want. Go fuck yourself. You might be blocked. I don't know. That's all over the map. I don't even know why he's telling you. Why? Do you know why he said, I spent $900 at dinner tonight?
No, I don't know if it was supposed to be some kind of flex. I don't know.
That was 40.
And then she has this other video.
It gets worse. Here we go.
I guarantee you, Chris, that's what you're gonna do. Oh, listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. I do not give a. Okay.
Why are we having this conversation?
Because I want to make it clear to you, because of the last text messages I received from you, I want to make it clear to you and put it in your brain so you understand going forward in my life, in your life, of what's going to be like a thing. Because we got like a thing. And look, you can have fucking 15 dudes. I don't give a flying fuck. Listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. And that's going to be the thing. And that's what's going to be.
I'm going to tell you the truth, and that's going to be the thing, and that's what it's going to be. And I'm like, okay, we finally got to the point of the phone call where I'm like, all right, now we're going to get to the point of why he's calling.
Like, I cannot even believe this guy. I mean, if you want to listen to it, you can go on to Reality Steve and listen to the full 12-minute voicemail. But again, it's just like him crashing out, saying like, I don't give a fuck, being extremely rude, saying like, you could sleep with this many guys or this many guys. Like, I'm surprised he even got a woman this beautiful, quite frankly. Like, you guys have to go check her out on Reality Steve's podcast because it's absolutely wild. This girl is very pretty. And this, I really hate to like talk anything about people's looks, that's not like me. But at the same time, this guy is sort of calling for it, right? Especially when he went so hard body shaming. And then for him to say, like in those episodes, that like, oh, I date like 5'11" ballet dancers. And I was like, yeah, right, dude. But then looking at this girl, I'm like, wow, she does look like a 5'11" ballet dancer. So I'm very curious how he's getting women to begin with. But the way he just like crashes out on women and sends like these disturbing voicemails is just like not cute. Now, bits of banter with Antoinette, which is a Instagram account that I really like. She actually ended up speaking to Mike's ex-girlfriend of Mike and Emma. And I generally like them as a couple, except for the whole he wants kids, she doesn't want kids, but in general, he seems like a good guy. Now, Antoinette spoke with his ex, who said that he is a cheater, pumpkin eater, and not once, not twice, but many, many, many times. So, you know what they say, once a cheater, always a cheater. And the fact that he did it many times, I mean, these are allegations, but this is what Love is Blind has sort of come down to, right? Love is Blind is no longer about love being blind, because let's be honest, it's not. It's about us finding out all of this stuff about them from their history. Like, remember that guy Ben from the Minnesota season, and he was giving out cards, his little YouTube cards after sex? That was gold, you guys. Or oh, I just watched the season. I forget the name of the guy, but the guy with all the kids who lied about having all those kids. I mean, it was wild, right? This is what Love is Blind is truly about. Okay, let's move on to Love Island. And you'd think, why are we talking about Love Island, especially Love Island season 6? But we have an update on Kenny and JaNa. Yes, that Kenny and JaNa. Kenny and JaNa from season 6 of Love Island USA. They left the season together, seemed super in love. They were the cutest couple. They ended up starring on season 1 of the Love is Blind spinoff, Beyond the Villa, which was hella boring. And even their relationship in that season seemed kind of sus, because they were all living in LA. And what's her name? JaNa lived in Vegas originally. Kenny was living, I forget if he was living in Texas or New York, but I think he had places in both areas. But when they were in LA for the purposes of shooting this show, he lived next door to her, like basically in an apartment next door. He refused to live with her, thinking that it was too soon for that, which seemed weird to me. And listen, I'm all for, like, if you're not ready yet, you're not ready yet. But to me, this was sort of like playing vacation, like you were just, or sorry, playing house in a way. You're just on vacation for this short period of time, whatever this was, 6 weeks, even less that they're filming the show. Why can't you live with her for this short period of time? It's sort of like playing house, and it gives you a little bit of a sense of what it's like to live together. He seemed completely depressed during the entire season. And then before the season finished airing, it was like 6 episodes. It was like episode like 3 or 4, I think, is when it came out, that they were no more, because apparently she had seen, I mean, we never got official word, but basically what we heard had happened was that she had seen these text messages that he was sending in a group chat, where he was basically saying that he doesn't like to date Black girls and he's only dating her for the clout, and just really, really terrible stuff. So the internet went ham. She is our queen, and she's gone on to do lots of amazing things. Kenny, I have no idea, because I unfollowed him. But JaNa posted something today that made us, hate him even more. So she posted this. I think this is either on TikTok or on Instagram. She said, "I'm going to say this once, then literally leave it alone, because I've already closed that chapter in my life. But 1, I've never cussed him out. It's not even in my character to do so. And 2, to everyone begging for proof, y'all really don't think it was to air his ass out. He threatened to sue me, and that's the only reason why I have to keep everything in the vault. But as long as my real friends, family, supporters know I'm not a liar, then that's all that really matters to me." Okay, so I'm guessing he threatened to sue her for releasing those text messages. I'm not sure who showed her those messages, but whoever it was, I guess she has it on her phone, very similar to the Scandival situation. And now he wants to sue her, or I guess threaten to, if she was going to release personal text messages. And you know what? At the end of the day, she was a classy queen for not talking much about this. And I kind of liked the way that she went about it because she was like, you know what, I'm moving on, whatever. That being said, if the real reason that she had to do that was because she was worried that he was going to sue her because he threatened her, then that's fucked up. Because at the same time, at the same time that I liked the way that she handled it, if she wanted to handle it differently, she has that right as well. If she wanted to go ham, if she wanted to like send all her friends to his house, I don't know, like do crazy shit. I also support women's rights and women's wrongs, right? Like, you know, if a guy hurts you, get him back however you see fit. So it just really sucks that she couldn't do that because he was threatening her. Kenny just continues to get worse and worse. I don't know what he's doing with himself these days, but, you know, I'm pretty sure he is just as canceled as Jill Zarin. Okay, let's move on to the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And unfortunately, we have an update about Robert Cosby Jr. So he's apparently facing new felony assault charges. This is really sad. So there's these two new felony assault charges stemming from a 2024 altercation with his now ex-wife, Alexiana Smokoff. According to police, Alexiana came forward about the May 2024 assault while Robert was in jail in November of last year. I guess she didn't feel safe maybe doing so while he was out. She told police that Robert attacked her after she flushed his drugs down the toilet. She claimed Robert pushed her, beat her about her face and head, and kicked her in the stomach, in addition to strangling her. Alexiana took photos on the day of this incident and presented them to the officer when filing the report. In the pictures, both eyes appeared red and swollen. Her left eye had a lump below the eyebrow, and there is a red mark visible on Alexiana's neck, the officer stated. Charges of felony assault and felony aggravated assault were filed on February 5th, which was one day after Robert was released from jail stemming from his November arrest. A warrant was issued for Robert on the same day the charges were filed. It appears he was able to post his $2,500 bond without being booked. He has a hearing scheduled for the middle of next month. Wow. I mean, you know, as I always say, we believe women. And so I believe this story. I'm really upset for everyone involved. I mean, I really am, you know. I think I just wish Robert Jr. would get better. That's all that I wish, you know. And while these things happened a long time ago, it's my understanding that things are still not going well for Robert. You know, and the fact that these kind of assaults happened whether he was on drugs at the time or not, are really, you know, irregardless of that situation. I mean, I hope he's just getting the help that he needs. You know what I mean? And I hope that one day he can look back on all of these things and say, you know, I did all of these terrible things when I was younger, when I was using, when I had an addiction, and now I'm clean, and now I've made my amends, and now I have this and that. But at the same time, this girl, Alexiana, she's never going to forget what happened to her. These are traumas that she is going to carry with her for the rest of her life, right? So even if Robert did these things while under the influence or being unwell, it's sort of the whole same thing with like Cassie and Colton, where people keep saying like, it's been a long time, or, you know, he did it because he was unwell. Okay, but, you know, Cassie still had to deal with the ramifications of what Colton did and is going to have to deal with the ramifications of that trauma for the rest of her life. So reading this, I mean, I'm absolutely horrified for Alexiana and her family and for her to carry this sort of trauma with her. I hope that she ends up getting the help that she needs too, quite frankly, because again, this is trauma that she had at the hands of someone that she loved. This is going to be something that's going to be very difficult for her to get over and deal with. And it may end up causing her to have trust issues in other relationships. It could end up having such a crazy ripple effect, quite frankly, right? Who knows what can happen? Trauma manifests itself in different ways for different people. So I hope that Robert gets the help that he needs, and I hope that Alexiana gets the help that she needs. But like, you know, I feel like every time we hear about Robert Jr. in the news, it's not good. And I don't know what more Mary can do. Robert is an adult. You know, she's sort of letting the law take its, you know, the law take what's the word? What's the phrasing? Like putting him in the law's hands, right? I'm sure she's also praying for him as well. What more can she do? She's offering him programs, she's offering to pay for rehab, she's offering to do all of those things. But there's only so what's the saying? Like you can only lead a horse to water, you can't force it to drink. And I think as a mother, she's probably doing absolutely all that she can. I just feel so awful for her as a mother who loves her son so much to watch their son just continue to make poor choices and not get better, right? Ugh, that's such a sad story. All right, moving on to Selling Sunset. So remember Emma Hernan and her trash bag boyfriend, Blake Davis? And remember me posting a meme about it a few months ago where she spent her birthday with him. And I posted a meme that just said, Emma Hernan spends her birthday with her loser boyfriend. Well, 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 well. These two have broken up for the millionth time. Okay. And I checked the chronology of their relationship, and they have broken up a number of times. So people that were coming at me being like, this is so mean, she's so happy. Is she? They were breaking up all the time. And now here they are breaking up again. Okay. They're no longer together. I'm sure that if she saw my meme today, she would probably like the meme. Listen, what we know of this guy is that he's sort of a trash bag. Again, we only saw little bits of him on the show, so I guess I can't really say, right? It's very possible he's a very nice guy. But our understanding of him is that he pushed her head into his lap and said, does Emma want a snack? He doesn't eat fruits or vegetables, which is not the reason not to like him. But again, it just shows like the immaturity of how he only really eats chicken fingers. He apparently has made like anti-trans and like homophobic statements. Apparently it's all over his Instagram, or it was at some point. It's gone now. He sort of came between Emma and Chrishell and their friendship. At the end of the day, it's sort of like the Benita and Sally thing. You need to let your friends pick who they want to be with. So I wasn't really with Chrishell on that, like, especially when Chrishell kept treating Emma like she was an idiot for dating this guy. Like, she's dating who she's dating. You don't need to look at her like she's dumb. That's really disrespectful. But at the same time, I get how it's hard to continue to support your friend dating someone who doesn't support necessarily people in your life and someone that you're on and off with too. It's hard to be like, yay, oh no, yay, oh no, when you're like on, off, on, off. But yeah, obviously she can do better. I find it completely wild that she even had to resort to a guy like this. So many people on the internet were like, she was just with him for money, but I really don't think she was. From what I saw on the show, this woman wants to have kids so badly. She wants to have a family so badly. And despite being like one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen, for some reason she was really struggling to find that. She was really struggling to find someone who wanted to have kids and a family with her. And this guy did. And that was it. That was it for her, because she was so desperate for this that she was willing to be with the one guy that would give it to her. And he's disgusting. So anyways, Emma, move on. And can someone amazing please find Emma? Can we make Emma the Bachelorette or put her on Love Hotel or one of these shows? Because I'm sorry, this is ridiculous. Like, Emma Hernan should not be single. Emma Hernan should have a family. She should be on some dating show. Let's get it poppin' Netflix. Okay, let's move on to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which pretty much means our weekly update on Denise Richards and Aaron Phypers' marriage. And this week in Denise and Aaron's marriage, Aaron is now begging a judge to order the actress to pay him spousal support immediately. This guy just does not stop. I feel like this is happening on a weekly basis because he really is coming to the courts and to the media on a weekly basis. Okay, so Page Six reported about this, so I'm just going to read you guys this article from Page Six, which says, Denise Richards' ex, Aaron Phypers, is asking that the actress immediately pay him spousal support as their contentious divorce rages on. In documents obtained by Page Six on Friday, the actor claims that he lacks stable income due to his business operations and infrastructure being disrupted in late 2024. He also argues that despite a dramatic domestic violence arrest in October and a pending criminal case, he has a right to temporary spousal support in order to maintain a status quo of financial fairness during litigation. In the docs filed in Los Angeles on Thursday, Phypers asserted that temporary support focuses primarily on the need and ability to pay, not final fault determinations or ultimate property division, and therefore the court is obligated to ensure equitable interim conditions by ordering Richards to pay. Phypers, who has repeatedly denied Richards' claims of domestic abuse, also stated that he's entered a plea of not guilty in the pending criminal case against him and emphasized that there has been no criminal conviction. Additionally, he claims he has a right to 50% compensation for Richards' OnlyFans venture, which he previously claims brings in up to $300,000 per month. Per month? Per month? I really need to get into OnlyFans. She is literally making money every single month from my intellectual property in the form of the photographs that I took of her that she has posted on her OnlyFans page. Documents read. So? Like, the person, you were her husband, you were taking pictures for her. You didn't hire her, or she didn't hire you to be her photographer. That would be a whole different story. It was just, Phypers went on to claim that he expected to be paid for his role on her Bravo reality show, Denise Richards and Her Wild Things, but has never been compensated. I was supposed to receive 50% of the production income received by Smoke and Mirrors Entertainment LLC for that show, and instead I have not received any of the production profits, nor any accounting for what the company received for that show, he alleges. Okay, let's see the papers saying that you were supposed to receive it. Just saying. Reps for Richards and Phypers did not immediately return Page Six's request for comments on Friday. In January, Richards asked a judge to deny Phypers' request for half of her OnlyFans earnings, citing a missed deadline for an updated income and expense declaration. In documents filed in October 2025, Phypers previously claimed he helped Richards to build her OnlyFans account and that he holds the intellectual property rights to most, if not all, of the pictures that are in use on her page. Phypers further claimed that the Wild Things star has cut him off from accessing that joint income that we earned together. He claims at the time he was out of money and financially desperate after rent and other expenses piled up. Richards, who had already moved out of their rental home, and Phypers, who was subsequently evicted from the Calabasas residence in December over $84,000 in unpaid rent. In January, Phypers' family members launched a since-deleted fundraiser on GoFundMe in January, an effort the Starship Troopers actress labeled outrageous. The former couple who tied the knot in 2018 and split in 2025 have been embroiled in a contentious divorce that we saw on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills that ended up leading to a permanent restraining order against her ex in November, for which he is still facing criminal charges in the case. I will say the same thing that I feel like I have continued to say about him. I mean, despite the fact that he's awful, I understand that he can no longer work in the conventional way that he is accustomed. He had that Quantum 360 scam of a business that he's being sued for, so he had to shut it down. But you must have some other kind of marketable skill, sir. What did you go to school for that led you to this weird kind of science? Can you do that weird science online? Can you do an OnlyFans of your own? We hear you have a huge dick, so why not that? There are so many things that you could do. I'm sure he could even get brand deals. I'm sure there are even some brands that would be willing to work with the school. So the fact that he is going this route is what pisses me off, because if you hate her so much and she's tried to ruin your life so bad, then do something about it. Get your life back together, right? It's what we would expect of anyone. So for you to just walk around like a leech and also act like the biggest victim on earth, being like, look at this mess that she left in the house. Dude, you've been living there for 2 years, you and your parents. So you've been living in that mess, okay? Like, no one, I find it wild and hilarious in a way, no one feels sorry for you, not a single soul. So this whole victim route that him and his family have continued to take isn't working. Maybe try another route, like, oh, I don't know, accountability. Maybe just a stitch of accountability. I hope she doesn't have to give him the money. If she does, and there's all these legal reasons for that, which is frequently the case, right? If she has to give him spousal support, she has to give him spousal support. I just think that sucks. And I hate that part of the process exists for someone that is fully capable of working and should be able to earn money on their own, especially if it's somebody that allegedly beat the shit out of you. Can you imagine having to give money to someone that beat the shit out of you? I'm sure that does happen all the time, but anyways, their whole thing is just so incredibly sad. Okay, so let's move on to the Valley Persian style. So I did not get a chance to recap episode 8 last week because I was still just figuring everything out. But I figured, you know what, let's do that today because we had a little bit of a shorter agenda when it came to some of our other news topics. So I figured, let's do it. There's only one episode left after this, which I'm so sad about, but I'm pretty sure it's been renewed for season 2. Oh, and in other The Valley news, we did get a trailer for our other episode or our other series, The Valley, which comes out on April 1st. I have to be honest, it looked a little boring. Like, I don't know where the drama's going to be. People are obviously mad that Lala and Schwartz are there. I don't really care anymore. I'm okay with it because we need someone to be contentious, right? And Lala will definitely do that. It looks like people are trying to get Michelle and Schwartz to kiss or hook up. That would be weird. We see Jesse's girlfriend on camera, which I'm absolutely excited about. Love me some Lacey. It seems like there's going to be drama between Kristen and Luke in terms of them not having sex because they have the baby, which is very, what this show is supposed to be about. And hopefully we see the rest of the girls dating. So it seems okay, and I'm not saying it's because Jax isn't there. It's absolutely not that. Maybe it's just like, nothing happened to be happening at that point in time, right? Like the whole concept of a storyline in general is just very difficult because it's like, I can only tell you about what's going on with me at this current period of life, right? And sometimes that season of life just doesn't have a lot to it. So it is what it is. But let's talk the Valley Persian style, season 1, episode 8. The episode ends up culminating in this real estate open house party that MJ is having at Gigi's sister's house. So that's how it sort of ends. But it starts with her feeling a lot of pressure about that. She's talking to Tommy about how she wants to go door knocking. She really wants to get her business out there. Tommy tells the camera that they have this thing that really works for them. And it's more than the bickering. They just have this thing. Yeah, maybe you have a thing, but you also do need more than just a thing to be able to make a relationship work. Now, MJ tells the camera that she loves when she feels fully supported by Tommy. So more of that would be nice. I mean, it's very interesting that it's so easy for her to articulate this. We don't get a ton about their relationship this entire season, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously we know that they are now divorced, but we see him treat her badly. We see him speak down to her. We hear her say that she doesn't feel safe. Maybe it's just because I'm just getting to know these people and I don't even know them from Shaw's, where I just don't feel like I had enough here to really gauge the way she felt about him. Because she's also sort of, I keep calling her demure and mindful, but I find MJ to be very sort of quiet. And despite the fact that she's good at articulating how she feels, I also just it was hard for me to get a real sense in terms of how she's truly feeling about Tommy in big pieces, right? I would get these little pieces, but overall I was like, yeah, they seem okay. And maybe that's just because I just didn't feel like I was getting enough of them. So we have MJ going door knocking. I think the concept of going door knocking is so not of this time, right? Who would answer the door to a stranger for any reason anymore? Also, who's going to let a stranger in? Masks, even just, I know this is a rich area, obviously, but still, I mean, there's just so many different reasons why, I just don't feel like it's of this time. It's just not how people communicate anymore. People would almost be offended. I feel like if you came and knocked on their door to try to have a conversation with them without planning it in advance, I would be offended. I'd truly be offended. Okay, so Tannen is planning to have this big launch party for her skincare brand. She's currently at a photo shoot for it. She has Reza J there doing modeling with some of these other models. And they're talking about Sky and how things are sort of just gray between them because despite the fact that Reza J set them up for that lunch, things just sort of ended okay. It was amicable because Tannen still sort of feels like she doesn't see any effort on Sky's part. And so she really feels like she needs to say that. And the ball is in her court. But we also know that Sky don't do that, right? We've heard Sky say that she expects people to come to her and that if they have a problem with her, they'll come talk to her about it. So it really is interesting to see these two friends at this crossroads because we started the season with these two being best friends. And it sort of seems like it's all going to go away over something kind of minor. I mean, at the end of the day, this could also be something that has been building up for a while, right? Like Tannen has talked about feeling, you know, she always has to be the one to come to Skye to apologize. She always has to make things good with her, have Skye never takes accountability. So maybe it's because this is the one time Tannen has decided to stand up for herself, but she also seems very fine with that too. But on the other end, we have Skye talking to her sister on the phone about how her dad is currently sick and he's in Iran. So he has Alzheimer's and he also recently had a heart attack. And she's just really struggling with this whole thing and just being so far away. She wishes that Tannen was there for her, but she's also feeling like she's okay because she has other support. She has her family, she has other friends. But this like juxtaposition of what's going on is just really interesting because you have Tannen on one end being like, well, I'm at a stage in my relationship with Skye where I need her to come to me. But then at the same time, you have Skye going through this family circumstance where the last thing she can really think about is her friendships and like making good. And what she actually needs right now is support from her friend. Now, I don't really know if Tannen is aware of what's going on with Skye's father. That isn't really made clear to us. So, because I kind of feel like if she was aware, it could possibly change things. It could also maybe explain why Skye is being the way she is. The thing about this show is that we don't know these people that well. Yes, Skye is coming off sort of like pretentious and like uppity and stuff, but we just don't know her that well. And to me, it's not coming off that way in excess, but the way that everyone else acts around her, she must do it more. And because they've known her longer and have that history with her that I and we, the audience, just don't have, I feel like maybe that's why they came at her the way that they did in Palm Springs, because to me, it did sort of seem like an overreaction to her just sort of not liking the Valley. To me, she just seems more of like an eye roll kind of friend where like she likes to say uppity things where like, oh, I'm too good for the Valley. And then you just sort of roll your eyes. But maybe it is a lot more than all of us are sort of aware of because we don't know her that well. We've only seen her for this one season in little bits, and all of these other people just sort of know her better. We get Gigi and MJ going for aura photography. I don't know. I didn't know what this was. But this is where Gigi ends up talking to MJ about MJ's marriage to Tommy, and MJ expresses that she feels like she's juggling a lot in her marriage when it comes to the parenting and to work and stuff like that. Now, something that I just thought of recently was MJ saying in previous episodes that Tommy is building a podcast empire or something. Like that's his job. He's like a podcast producer. And I thought that they have a podcast together. And I think that there's like 3 people on it. I could very well Google this, you guys. I could very well have Googled this, but I didn't. My bad. But yeah. So does that mean that Tommy no longer has a job? Because now I'm just worried about Tommy trying to come for MJ's stuff in this divorce. Because if they're no longer doing a podcast together, is he still doing the podcast? Is he still able to run this empire or get this empire off the ground without her? So that just sort of worried me. But again, the way that she talks about this, even to Gigi, is very demure in the way that she's talking about it. But I feel like what she's trying to say here a lot is, you know, if I felt that I was getting more from Tommy, not just in the marriage, but like, you know, support. Like she's talking about how she wants to get really back into her career. And if he could really support her in that regard, I think that that would change a lot. But it's not until this episode that we really find out that she feels like she's juggling a lot and that she could really use his help in that regard. But we'll get to that in a minute. So Gigi decides to be petty and start this jewelry line called Valley Girl Diamonds to show up Skye because, as we know, Skye does not like the Valley. Now, everybody thinks this is so petty and stupid, and it is. But the thing about Gigi, she's a great character. And there's something about her that isn't cringy. Like if Amanda Francis did this, cringe. If I'm trying to think of who else. Janet did this, cringe, right? Gigi doing the cringy things that she's doing just don't come off as cringe. Like her her even just hanging out with Dennis is just like, I don't know, just everything that she does is very ridiculous. Getting high as often as she does, how much money she spends on weed, all of it is very weird and ridiculous, but it's like in a way very classic Gigi that just gives us this extra element to this show. We get this scene of Amir and Natasha talking about him getting a vasectomy. So basically, he went to get information about it to see if it's something that he wants to do. Now, this is really interesting. He's hesitant to do it because after him and his, his previous wife who died, Lauren, they had so much trouble getting pregnant. And so he feels like to have a vasectomy would be like taking away that ability and taking away that ability to have children when he and Lauren struggled so long to be able to get pregnant feels wrong. That's an interesting one. Natasha is very cool about it. She's like, we can figure out other ways, we can think of other things, but his reasoning is interesting. Do you know what I'm saying, right? Because if Amir and Natasha have no intention to ever have children ever again, that is the point of the vasectomy, right? It could be reversed, but whatever. So that's the theory. He's obviously not going to have children with Lauren. She passed away. And I understand that that was something that they specifically struggled with. But like I said, he's never going to have children with Lauren. He would only ever have children with Natasha. And because he's never going to have further children with Natasha, is it really wrong? It's such an interesting debate in a way. I've never heard anyone not want to get a vasectomy for that reason. It's obviously a reason that doesn't come up very often, right? So it's very, I can have an hour-long conversation with somebody about this. I think it's really fascinating. I'd love to have the conversation with a man, with Amir, quite frankly. I'd love to have it with Amir, but if not Amir, a man who's in a similar situation, right? But I wonder if there's something painful or hard for Natasha in that as well. Because in him saying that he wants to cling on to his ability to have children, just for the sake of the fact that it was something that him and Lauren were struggling to do, is that a piece of Lauren that he's hanging on to that causes a pain for Natasha, right? I just feel like there's so much there in terms of his traumatic past that I would just love to break down with them or even just watch them in a therapy session on, just because I find it so incredibly fascinating. Okay, so here's where we get some more information on why Tommy may not be helping MJ in terms of being supportive and helping her juggle all of her priorities. So she is getting Botox with Gigi and Tannen, and the school calls and says no one has come to pick up Shams. So she tries to get a hold of Tommy. It's 3:30. She can't get a hold of him. There's no after school program, and she is livid. And so it turns out that he was at the school, but he had been trying to find parking for 25 minutes. But MJ is upset about the lack of consistency and planning from her own husband. Tannen asks MJ if she can depend on Tommy, and she says that she just doesn't. So, okay, I'm not a mom, and so people don't come for me, and I'm just trying to understand the whole situation. Because at first I thought, okay, so he would have been there on time if it hadn't have been for him not being able to find parking. But then I heard other people talking online about how, like, he shouldn't have been trying to find parking in the parking lot. There's like a pickup line. That's where he should have been. So he wasn't in the right area. And then I was like, was he aware of the pickup line? Did he have the correct information going into it? Like, we hear MJ consistently saying, I do pick up and drop off. I do pick up and drop off. But did she give him the proper instructions for the pickup and drop off? And then she says that it would have been ideal if he was there 15 minutes early. But why? Is that something that is important to do because the line is typically long or it's typically hard to find parking? And did she let him know about that? And I would never defend a man, like, ever in a million years. I only ask all those questions because I'm an investigator, because I feel like the answers to those questions would sort of depend on how mad I am at him. Because if he had none of that information, because he never does pick up and drop off. I mean, that being said, he could have asked all the questions too, right? But like, if I give someone my dog to take care of, I give them the instructions. This is his son and not a dog. But I'm just saying, if there's like a typical routine of how something goes, I would expect the person who's asking me to do it to give me those instructions. If he had all of those instructions, fuck him. Absolutely fuck him, right? And it's so stressful to not even be able to rely on your own husband to be able to just pick up your kid, right? Like I said, she's trying to get back into work. She's trying to level up her career, and she can't even go to a simple Botox appointment and have her husband pick up her kid correctly without a call from the school, right? I would be absolutely livid as well. So now we're at MJ's open house, which is at Gigi's sister's house. And Tommy does end up coming to drop some stuff off. But Adam and Reza are already there. Now, the only interaction that they've had thus far all season is just last episode where Reza had texted Tommy to say, I'd love to have a conversation with you. I don't know if you'd be open to it. And then Tommy said that he would be open to it after filming. So this was sort of unplanned. I guess Tommy was helping by coming to drop some stuff off, but he's not going to come and be there because, the cast is there and he doesn't want to be there for filming. So the only interaction that they end up having between Adam, Reza, and Tommy is just sort of like handing stuff off to each other. Now, Reza can tell that Tommy is not open to talking by like his body language, and he's like not looking at Reza. So Reza's disappointed because he got that promising text message from Tommy. So he thought that he would be open to talking. I can see from Tommy's end because he was thinking like, not during filming, I'm not doing this now. And he also wasn't prepared, right? Like he wasn't planning to talk to them then. And yes, he did send a promising message to Reza, but the promising message was, maybe we'll talk after filming ends, right? Not now, not while filming is happening. So I kind of understand the way Tommy acted, but MJ is annoyed because Tommy could have at least said hi, and he totally could have, right? I'm still not sure if a big or any portion of their divorce had to do with the fact that he made filming difficult, because again, MJ is so just demure and mindful. Then Mauricio shows up for like his 10th Housewives appearance this year. And he's like, yeah, great job. Did amazing. Amazing. Then Sky and Bombshell show up. Gigi gives her the Valley Girl necklace that she's made for everyone, which Sky thinks is stupid. But like I said, so does everyone else. But it's very Gigi. And then MJ tries to do the friend thing, and she encourages Sky to take some ownership in her friendship with Tannen for at least saying that whole thing about the jewelry and being like, oh, well, you don't pay full price for any of my jewelry, this and that. So she encourages her to at least take ownership for that, try to apologize if she loves her. And then Sky says she pisses on love. It really seems like it's more important for Sky to be right. Again, I don't know if there's any part of Sky that is dealing with what's going on with her father and just putting on this really hard front right now, because we don't know her, so I don't know if this is how she normally is. Now, Tannen tells the camera that now that she knows that Sky just absolutely cannot take accountability and it's all about like pride and ego for her, then she's just not interested in a friendship with Sky. And it does seem crazy to me because, like I said, these two have had like a very long-standing friendship. There's no reason for it to come to blows over what seems so minor. I wonder if it's a cultural thing to take disrespect so seriously. I mean, to each their own, right? It's just sad to me to end a friendship over something so minor. But again, it really isn't about something so minor. It's about the much bigger concept of how, do you really want to be friends with somebody who refuses to ever take accountability and won't even say sorry to you when they probably know that they are wrong purely out of pride, right? Like, what kind of friend is that? So I do really understand how Tannen is feeling. It's my understanding that to this day, they're still not friends, which is really sad. But like I was going to say, hopefully we'll get more at the reunion. There is no reunion. There is no reunion. I don't know. It still does make me sad. It makes me sad when a TV show tears apart a relationship, but then at the same time, it's also the TV show that can be the thing that brings out what was truly supposed to happen, right? Whether it's the end of something or the beginning of something. Okay, our last topic of the day is the Traitors. So we're just going to do a quick recap of episode 10, which came out last week. And then there's just a little bit of Traitors tea that I want to get into. So the episode really wasn't that fulsome. People are starting to get bored with the Traitors, basically, because all of our main players are gone now. And, I think we have like 2 episodes left. If I'm not mistaken, we also have the reunion. Now, what's interesting in this episode is that Rob is still not found out. I don't know if I believe him when he says that it's just getting really hard on him to be like scheming and being conniving and being manipulative all the time, because it's really not like in his character to be that way. But I just think it's really funny. And finally, we get people starting to get the idea that it's a very big possibility that, okay, maybe Rob is a traitor. So Tara seems on this bandwagon. Natalie's getting people on this bandwagon. But then when it comes down to it, the end of the day, when blow comes to blows at the round table, Tara sort of flips her switch and she goes towards Natalie. And people were thinking about Natalie before, they have been for weeks. I felt really bad for Natalie because of what she was wearing. She was wearing like this tight maroon colored leather dress, which was nice, but maybe just not for the occasion. And I guess I'm no like fashion girly like whatsoever, you guys, but it just didn't feel like it fit the occasion. I don't know. Like it felt like a clubbing dress. And I felt bad for her that she had to go out the way that she went out, quite frankly, in that dress. So she ends up being let go. But what's baffling to me then when she says, I am a faithful, that everyone then doesn't turn around and realize, okay, then yeah, it was Rob, right? Because they were all still trying to decide about like Candace's throwaway vote. Was it a throwaway vote? Was she trying to tell us something? I don't really know. But at the end of the day, they went with Natalie, who is a faithful, and are still sitting there being like, I'm just not sure who it could be. Right? Now, the episode ends with Alan saying that he is going to reveal who the traitor is, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like that's how it ended. Sorry, guys, this is a really shitty recap because I watched this show as more of like a background thing, and because not a lot happened in this episode, I figured we would just do it this way. This is what you're getting for the duration of just for this episode, because that's all we really need to know. Natalie is banished from the castle, but here is some tea that we ended up getting about the traitors. And as you know, when it comes to tea, it has to do with Lisa Rinna, because Lisa Rinna is, of course, one of the most dramatic people on this cast. So TMZ reported that Lisa Rinna thinks that she was drugged at the Traitors premiere party. So get this. Lisa Rinna thinks she was drugged with something at the Traitors season 4 premiere party on January 8th of this year, TMZ has learned. Sources familiar with the situation tell us Lisa's Traitors co-star Colton Underwood noticed Lisa was completely inebriated. Because Colton says he knew Lisa didn't have that much to drink, he was with her the whole night, so he became concerned, according to our sources. We're told Colton notified Lisa's team, who got her out of there after a group pick. Colton coming to Lisa's rescue may surprise Traitors fans who watched him and Lisa go at each other towards the end of their time on the Peacock reality show. And after the show wrapped filming and started airing, Lisa has at times said they were friends, but has also brought up allegations from Colton's ex-girlfriend, Cassie Randolph, that he allegedly stalked her and put a tracking device on her car. At a book signing for her new memoir a couple of days ago, Lisa teased that she may have said something that upset Colton at the Traitors reunion, which caused him to unfollow her on socials. At the premiere party more than a month ago, their on-again, off-again friendship may be off at the moment. It's unclear if police were involved in this incident or if Lisa went to the hospital. We've reached out to Lisa's rep for a comment, as well as Colton's. So far, no word back from either. Okay. I mean, can I just say it? Can I just say it? If she was drugged, wasn't it probably by Colton? Okay, allegedly. I don't think she was drugged. I don't. But if she was, I would think it was Colton. But again, allegedly. I'm not sure who said this exactly, because if TMZ reached out to Lisa and to Colton, and both of them have not wanted to make comments, it seems to me that this came from sources and not from the actual parties. So I think we can assume that this didn't happen. I would also think that if Lisa Rinna thought that she was drugged on January the 8th, honey, she would have told us about it, right? Like she's going to talk about it. That's who Lisa Rinna is. So I don't think that this is true. I think that these are some weird ass sources trying to start shit. But that's the fun thing about the Traitors this year. what has been happening off camera has been so much more interesting than what has been happening on camera. So I'm here for it, and I will continue to be here for it until the end. I think we have, like I said, 1 or 2 more episodes and then the reunion. I think the reunion is also filming or airing the same day as the finale. I think that might be this week. I think we're getting both this week. And if so, I will obviously be covering it. All right, you guys, that is the end of the episode today. I hope that you enjoyed it. Until next time, you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads at The Bravo Investigator. Join the Facebook group, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you can also join the Patreon at patreon.com/The Bravo Investigator Podcast. And I love you, BBs. I will see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Bravo Investigator Podcast. For more content, head over to patreon.com/The Bravo Investigator Podcast. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at The Bravo Investigator. If you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review. Love you, BBs. See you next time.